going on, Lions fans? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit YouTube channel. I'm Miko, joined by my guy Morgan Cannon today, and we are going to be breaking down the Lions versus Bucks game. We had a Twitter poll up asking you guys which Lions game would you want us to basically recap and have a little bit of a film session over, and it came down, Morgan, between this game and the Seahawks game. It was literally a tie based on when you looking at the numbers. Both of these games got 46% of the votes. Twitter said that this game won. I don't know how that works. I don't get to see the actual percentages. I don't know if Twitter just picked that one because it was the first one. If you guys have a problem with it, take it up with whoever set up the schedule, because that's literally how I listed them, was week 1 through week 4. But no, this is still a really interesting game to kind of break down, Morgan, because obviously it's the Lions' only loss in the season as of right now. It was also probably one of the more frustrating losses that they had, because when you go to the box score, the Lions dominated in every meaningful statistic except for one, and that one being red zone efficiency. And that's kind of what we're going to look at today in this film session, is those 4 red zone trips that they had that just didn't either resulted in field goals, or in the one case of the interception that Jared Goff threw. So I still think this is going to be a pretty interesting film session for the audience.
Yeah, and it gives more context to that weird game, right? Because like you said, the Lions, you look at the box score, the Lions dominated the Bucks in a myriad of different statistics and metrics, however you look at it, right? They really did dominate. But when you go, the Lions were 1 for 7 on the day against Tampa Bay in the red zone. They moved the ball between the 20s. They were moving the ball boom, 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 no problem. But they kept stalling out in the red zone. So I actually pulled the clips from the written article I did, pulled some from the archives, and yeah, we're going to break down 4 of the plays that led to the Lions either turning the ball over on downs, or just settling for a field goal, right? And it's really why the Lions aren't 4-0 right now. If the Lions were even 2 of 7, 3 of 7, or even 2 of 7 from in the red zone against Tampa Bay, they're probably sitting there undefeated too, just like a couple other teams. But football's a fickle game, man, as we all know.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and jump into the first play here. So this is the controversial play that the Lions had, where they basically have this speed out to Jameson Williams. But to kind of give you guys some context of just how we got to that play, because again, we're not going to break down every single play in the red zone, but at least every 3rd or 4th down play that basically led to them not getting points or settling for a field goal. On this one, the Lions ended up settling for a field goal after an incomplete pass to Jameson Williams. But on first down, the Lions had what looked to be a screenplay set up for Jahmyr Gibbs that Jared Goff ends up pretty much dirting. I don't know if he just didn't think Jahmyr had the right angle, or if he thought he would be able to get over the defender, but that basically leads to them going to second down. Second down, they actually get some really strong movement, right, Morgan? I mean, 7-yard run from David Montgomery. You start to feel okay, the Lions are literally 1 play away from getting this football into the end zone.
Yeah, and it sets you up with a 3rd and goal. So your 3rd and goal, 3 from, for the got to have it down, and that's manageable, right? That's what you wanted to get done with the run from Montgomery. So what we have here, though, is Sam Laporta is going to motion in from being split out wide, and in my opinion, this is a motion that's intended to help out Jared Goff. Is this man? Is this zone? And the fact that the defender doesn't travel with Laporta, in my opinion, is going to tell me, okay, they're in some sort of zone here, and. He immediately looks at JMO, and JMO runs what is essentially a speed out, and he's bracketed. This is a really tough throw because you have a defender in trail technique, you have a defender over the top, so it makes the window for this throw to be successful teeny tiny, and yeah, it just doesn't really give you a good. There's just not a lot of room for success, right? It's just not a really high percentage play.
No, and I think you and I were when we were studying this play and breaking it down, there are a couple of things that obviously go wrong here. Like you pointed out, right? The Lions have this motion to with Sam Laporta that should give you some sort of indicator whether this is man or zone. I think Jared Goff fails to recognize this, from the get-go of okay, they're clearly in zone, and to understand hey, if this isn't open from the snap, I need to go to my next read. And that's where things I think fail for the second time, is that he doesn't have that wherewithal to come off of this route. It's one thing if JMO's the first read, It's another thing to stick with it and act as if like it's either this play or nothing, because as this play goes on and it gets kind of cut off here near the end, but both David Montgomery and Tim Patrick kind of come open here. You can kind of see here in this clip right here, Tim Patrick starts to come open. The safety is already, there would have been a ton of space in the middle in the back of the end zone here. These are the type of touchdowns that we see Josh Reynolds catch all the time. I feel like when he was in Detroit. And then again, David Montgomery is kind of leaking out, and he's going to literally post up at the 1 yard line to where Jared Goff probably could have fed them this ball and he could have just literally fell backwards. So I don't necessarily have like an issue with the play call necessarily, but I do have an issue with the play recognition and the play progression on Jared Goff's part here.
Yeah, it's just kind of confusing, right? And we're always, making, like, we're assuming, right, when we're doing a lot of these videos. So we think that's a man indicator motion that Sam Laporte is on, but who knows? Maybe it's not. But we're going with what we know here from our experience. And yeah, it does look like Tim Patrick would have at least had a chance running that backside dig, especially being like 6'5" or whatever he is. Put that thing on the top shelf, give him a chance. But this, yeah, to your point, really doesn't ever have a chance. Goff hits his back foot, spins it. At least the only thing I'll give him, at least he put it up where the big kids can get it only. Because if that ball's off target, it's 6 the other way too. That's why I think a lot of people didn't like it. But yeah, it was that whole day, man. The Lions ran 19 snaps inside the Tampa Bay 20, and 16 of them were in with Goff in the shotgun. So since that game, we've kind of seen a little bit of a correction there. They're getting Goff under center more. And that's really how you become efficient in the red zone, right? Because these next couple plays we're going to show, it becomes tough. Like, as everybody knows, space is condensed, and throwing windows become that much tighter, that much more difficult. So really, the way to mitigate that is to be able to run the ball well in the red zone, and that's how the Lions were one of the best red zone teams in football last year. Was they ran the football really efficiently inside the 20.
Yeah. And I think, again, this is something that we're like, this zone concept, whenever the Lions were in the red zone or within scoring position and they felt like they were in shotgun, that seemed like a go-to for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all game for the most part. Is that the Lions were in third and long or even in third and short in this situation, they were content to play zone coverage on the back end. And they had a good amount of faith that they would be able to read what Jared Goff and the Lions were trying to do, and that they had the players to be able to put a stop to it. That's kind of what we see here in the second play, right, Morgan?
Yeah, and it was a common theme. So Tampa Bay they were content to rush 4. They might run a game or something like that, with some looping rushers, but they were content to rush 4 and just drop and make, rally to the football and tackle them. So yeah, this is, I don't know, not my favorite either, right? Because it's, you don't have a lot of room for success. No one's open. The offensive line does a pretty good job of picking things up, but overall, not ideal, because what do you expect Montgomery to do here? You know what I mean, Miko? Like, we freeze frame it here. For Goff's perspective, nowhere really to go with the ball. They're just flooding. They're flooding the back half, and just makes things difficult.
Yeah, and again, I think this is a situation where, again, like you said, we're kind of speculating, but I feel like they were expecting Amon-Ra to probably be left by himself on this crossing motion, right? So that he could probably just hit him in stride. He moves upfield, picks up an easy first down. But this, to me, is just really good defense, right? Like, the perfect defense called for the perfect offensive play. Because if this is man, right, maybe you have someone in trail position, behind Amon-Ra, and there's not someone in the middle of the field, because someone has to follow Sam Laporta out as he's running this, this route to the flat at the bottom of the screen. Jamo's clearly, pushing upfield. Tim Patrick is also pushing upfield near the bottom. You're hoping that you're going to get the middle of the field open so that Amon-Ra can operate, or at the very least, like you said, David Montgomery is sneaking out of the backfield. Maybe he gets an open, field situation where he can turn this up and pick up some yards. But like we said, Tampa was very content to just play zone, keep everything in front of them. They knew where the first down marker was, and they believed that they could rally and tackle and keep the Lions short of the sticks.
Yep, and I commend them. And this is, I love Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is a brilliant defensive mind. And this is a talented defense. I know they didn't have Winfield this week, but the Lions are an efficient red zone team, and yeah, it's just I hope everyone knows the NFL is a copycat league too. So the Lions need to be ready to see more of this because, teams are gonna be like, okay, this offense is so high and mighty, but they had a tough time when Tampa Bay did this. So let's give it a try.
Yeah, and I think this also kind of speaks to some of the criticism that Ben Johnson and Jared Goff have kind of gotten in the past of that, like, hey, they love operating in the middle of the field. And our defense is starting to cue in on that tendency where it's like, hey, we will take the chance of just like, hey, they're going to probably just run some sort of crossing route or something in the middle of the field. Let's play cover two and see if we can stop them here. Versus trying to play man, trying to send pressure and potentially getting beat just because you don't have enough guys in coverage.
Yep. And it was just it's like third and manageable too. That was 3rd and 6 from the Tampa Bay 16 in the third quarter. So it's manageable. It's not like it's 3rd and 15. That's what was kind of alarming when you turned on that tape. The Lions were just not good on third down, especially in the red zone. And it wasn't like they were working with a lot of bad down and distances. It was just, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, stuff like that.
Yeah. And so this bad day kind of just like, you kind of pointed this out to me. It wasn't just in one phase, right? Like obviously the first play we kind of talk about Jared Goff probably just not making the right decision, being too keyed in on making a throw that probably wasn't there. Second play, probably just perfect defense meeting perfect offense, and that being the result. The offensive line had their struggles too, and this is a unit that is usually very, very good in pass protection, obviously in the run game, but in this particular pass that ends up with Jared Goff throwing an interception in the red zone, they might have to wear a good amount of the blame here, Morgan.
Yeah, and this is just so you'll watch it here, and the Bucs did this all day. They're running games and trying to mess with the Lions, delayed blitzes. So really, this is just a simulated pressure. And so if you've watched this channel before, you've heard us talk about a simulated pressure. It's really when you're gonna drop a traditional rusher into coverage and simultaneously bring a non-traditional rusher on the pass rush. So they're gonna drop Tryon Shoyinka. Hopefully I said that correctly. That's a tough one for me. And then they blitz Levante David. And in doing so, this is what you're hoping to do when you blitz. You're trying to cause chaos. And it gets, so Gibbs actually does, as he's done all year. I actually am having a study come out soonish talking about that. But the blitzer picks up Levante David, but at the same time, it catches the eye of Frank Ragnow. So he looks to the left. And then Zeitler, for whatever reason, comes off the 3-tech and comes and helps Panay on the right. And then it just leaves 95 for Tampa Bay, free to tee off on Goff. This is a big old hit, man. I was
going to say, I think it's one of those things, like you said, with this simulated pressure that Levante David blitzes so suddenly and so violently that, like you said, I think it catches Frank's eye to the point where he's like, oh, I might have to catch or help Jameer because I don't know if he's going to be ready for like how fast he's coming downhill. But in doing so, he does. He leaves a man kind of wide open to basically not be blocked. Kevin Zeitler's obviously helping out Panay. And it's one of those situations where now Jared Goff has to make a decision. And unfortunately, in my opinion, he once again makes the wrong decision in trying to still get this ball off, trying to throw a deep route when it's 2nd and 16, right? It's not 3rd and 16. It's not like you have to get this play or punt. They had another down. And, that type of domino effect where the offensive line is failing, which leads the quarterback to making a poor decision, is kind of how you end up with this type of play.
Yeah, and to give context, it was 2nd and 16. Big run by Jahmyr Gibbs actually moved the ball into Tampa Bay territory, so they were inside the 20. Then a hold on Frank Ragnow made it 2nd and 16 and put the ball at the 28 where you're seeing right now, right? So 7:41 left in the fourth quarter. You're down 20-16. And we just talked about how, and we don't know the offensive line, their rules. Every offensive line works off of a set of like operating procedures, if you will, if that makes more sense for people. Football people are going to call them rules. So we don't know Zeitler, so perhaps he was in the right there. We're not really going to ever know. But to Goff's, like you said, Miko, Goff's credit, or discredit in this case, you need these 3 points, especially after the end of half debacle that we're not going to bring up because that still makes me mad. This stuff happens. But, you need these 3 points. It would have been the Lions probably win this game again. I know we're saying probably again, but if it's 20-19, then you don't need 6 points coming up on the play that we're going to break down. But I want to say Goff thinks Patrick's running an in-breaker here, which still doesn't excuse the decision to cut this one loose. But yeah, it's just he gets blasted. And I like this play. I don't like watching it, but I like this play because it kind of shows the intricate relationship between protection, the pass, the route running. Like it all has to be in cohesion and unison. And if it's not, you get plays like this where you're like, what did we just do?
Yeah, because the way this play was kind of starting to develop, again, Jared Goff throws this ball before Tim Patrick kind of comes out of his break, because what he eventually actually ends up doing is actually cutting this more so like a corner route and kind of trying to run to the end zone that way. This safety right here at the bottom was flat-footed by this point. Like he hadn't really gotten enough depth. And so Tim Patrick, again, maybe if Jared Goff has enough time, is probably able to get behind the coverage here, and at least he has the chance to throw a touchdown here. But everything happens so quickly, the offensive line breaks down, and he's never able to get to that progression to be able to hit, Tim Patrick for this possible touchdown.
Yeah, and it's always easy for us to sit here and watch it after the fact when we're looking at the all 22. But this is how you have to think about it, right? So, yeah. The only good thing is I like that Jameer is getting to be a much better pass protector, man. That's really big. I've seen that on tape a lot already this year. Jump into our next one, 4th and 8. So this is basically ball game right here.
I hate this play so much.
I was not happy watching it. So this is where I was like, the lines are in empty. So it's 4th and 8 at the Tampa Bay 11, a minute 1 second left in the game. So you're in the empty, which I don't get. And again, you're going to see Tampa Bay, they're going to rush for and drop everybody else. They run a little bit of a game there. It causes a little bit of problems, but I just don't really get the thought process. Maybe again, you got JMO running a speed out. You got Khalif running a corner back there to the back pylon on the front side. The backside makes a little bit of sense, but Jared, by the time he's looking there, Jameer is stopped and he catches the ball, and Tampa Bay, just like they had done most of the day in the red zone, just rallies to the football. They gave up a ton of yards because of how they played this, but I think they looked at the Lions offense. They're like, we should not play man-to-man, against this team probably. So this is what you got.
Yeah. No, I think that was absolutely like a conscious decision, right? Like, hey, we can't play man-to-man, right? They have too many athletes on that offense, too many speedsters, or just too many guys that are just quick coming out of their breaks to try and do that. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I hate this play. It feels like with this play, again, speculating, but it feels like they were playing for the first down instead of playing to win the game. And I don't like that aspect of it, right? When you see a play like this, when it's clearly 4th and 8, the first thing should be, we should be trying to get a touchdown. At the very least, we should be trying to get a touchdown. And if not, if they are so sold out to defend the end zone, then hey, hopefully we can get somebody coming back to the ball to pick up the first down. Instead, it feels like we were doing the opposite, and this is how the ball game ends.
Yeah, frustrating for sure. And we don't know what they're looking at here. We talked about it before we got on. If he hits Jameer running that little crosser, early on as he's coming out of his break, maybe he has a chance to pick up the first down, but we'll never know because he's looking. His progression sure seems like it starts with JMO and goes to Khalif and then works from right to left. But yeah, you're kind of seeing a picture of what the Lions were like, why they were so inefficient on this day. And if you're watching this and you're a Lions fan, be happy because we just saw a nice little red zone performance against Seattle, right? They ran the ball. The first 3 touchdowns were all running touchdowns. It was Jameer, David. I want to say
David, Jameer.
Oh, there you go. Order-wise, yes. And they were all red zone, hey, we're going to line up here. We're going to bully you and get back to who. And that's at the end of this article, that's what I was asking for. I'm like, get Goff under center again and get defenses on their heels, right? Like, yeah, they might throw the ball here, but they also might shove the football up our nose. So, you got to be ready for both.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that's unfortunate, right? When looking back at this game is that to know that, listen, you guys had no trouble getting into the red zone. Like you said, 7 trips to the red zone. You had no issue getting there. But the fact that you couldn't even convert 50% of those into touchdowns is the defining factor of this game. Obviously, we just broke down third and fourth down plays. Yeah, like we talked about, there were some questionable first and second down decisions on these plays as well that led to them having to make even worse third down situations. But like Morgan said, the Lions seem to have fixed that problem. They seem to have rectified it by realizing like, hey, once we get into the red zone, it's time to unleash David Montgomery. It's time to unleash Jahmyr Gibbs and not try to get too cute, right? Force these defenses to really show that they can stop you and limit you on the ground before you decide to just go to the air. I think they have enough playmakers. They have enough creativity with Ben Johnson to be able to do those types of things. And those types of adjustments, like you pointed out, Morgan, in the Seattle game are kind of the telltale signs that like, hey, they seem to have learned from past mistakes. And now we get to hopefully see them continue to trend in that right direction starting this week with the Dallas Cowboys.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. Get back to your identity, and I think everything will fall in line. And I do think Sam Laporta has started slow because he was injured early on, and then I think it's been a little bit of like a ramp-up period. But I tell you what, looking at Dallas's personnel, which I just started doing, we're filming this Monday evening, it might be a good game to get Sam going because I don't think there's anyone on that defense that can guard Sam Laporta right now. So that'd be nice too, because make him into a red zone weapon because he's 6'3", 250. You know what I mean? Like that.
And I think that's part of the things that, like, again, people are just a little confused by like, hey, like Sam was a big part of this offense last year. I think he had 10 touchdowns himself as well. So it's a lot of like, hey, where's Sam been in the red zone? And I think it's just going to lead to the Lions, again, probably having to put the fear of God back in these opposing teams that like, hey, we'll just run the ball down your throat. And once they start to see teams selling out for that, that's when we can get back to some of that play action type of plays in the red zone to where Amon-Ra can run across the field and be wide open, where Sam Laporta can be running these post corner type routes and getting open and things of that nature. And that's when you'll start to see, them becoming a two-faced monster when it comes down to, again, how are you going to stop this team once they get inside the 20, right? They can get you on the ground, they can get you in the pass. But right now, I think it's your offensive line is playing very, very well. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs both seem to have a nose for the end zone right now. So it's just like, hey, keep doing that until teams prove that they can stop it.
Yep, no doubt, man. If it ain't fixed, don't broke it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's how I look at it. Like, your best asset is the offensive line, and Gibbs and Montgomery. I like the balance too. They're starting to intermingle. Like, they're not just doing like Gibbs drive, Montgomery drive, Gibbs drive, Montgomery drive. Like, they're mixing it up a little more, which I like, and it seems like they're staying fresh, knock on wood.
I was going to say, it's been heavy Jahmyr. I could use a little more David Montgomery. It feels like it's been like heavy Jahmyr, but we've talked about this like in passing. Like, we think that it's possibly them trying to keep David Montgomery for the fourth quarter, right? Where, all right, the game's kind of put away. Let's just run David and continue to just keep the clock turning.
Yeah, I think that, and then like making sure that, like, if I'm Dan Campbell, at least I want to make sure David Montgomery is feeling spry and happy come December and January. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when it's really going to get physical and you can lean into just beating people over the head, because it might come one of those games, you might have to go on the road in the playoffs, and it might be a give the ball to David Montgomery 25 times kind of game. So I like to, maybe that's a part of the calculus too, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, that's pretty much going to do it for this film study. We are still going to be doing our weekly film study of scouting the opponent, looking at the Dallas Cowboys, talking about what type of threat they pose to the Detroit Lions, probably even looking back at last year's game to figure out things that they did really well to kind of exploit the Lions defense. And again, what are they doing so far this season that proved to be a challenge for the Lions as well? But let us know in the comment section below. What did you guys think of this film study? What are some other questions that you still have from this game? And what do you think, where have you seen the Lions improve the most since they took on the Buccaneers in week 2? Also, if you are looking for any more Lions content, all you have to do is head over to pridedetroit.com. We are uploading new articles over there every single day, multiple times throughout the day. So if you haven't checked out the website today, I'm sure there's probably 2 or 3 articles that you've already probably missed that are well worth your time. And if you want to stay tuned to any of the video content we're doing over here on the YouTube channel, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Both of those things help out the channel immensely, but it also helps you out because you can stay notified when we have brand new content being uploaded. So with all that said, I'm Miko. He's Morgan. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch, and we'll be sure to catch you guys in the next one.